Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to break down a really powerful way to think about our lives online. And believe it or not, it all started with a simple question from a kid at a book festival. This whole idea might just change how you look at your phone forever. Why is the fish broken? You know, a question like that from a 7-year-old, it just cuts right through all the noise, doesn't it? It gets to the very heart of what we're all feeling about technology. It's so simple, so innocent, and honestly, pretty profound. So picture this. You're at the Edwardsville Book Festival. It's sunny, you can probably smell funnel cakes in the air, families are wandering around. But then one particular book cover just stops people in their tracks. It's an image of a fish, split right down the middle by this glowing line. One half is totally alive and vibrant, and the other is just a skeleton. Right, so let's dig into that. Why is the fish broken? That one question from a child basically cracked open a conversation that, let's be real, is happening in just about every home, whether we're talking about it out loud or not. It's all about this divide we feel in our own lives. And it wasn't just that one little girl. All day long, kids and parents kept coming up with their own questions. The kids were asking, can the fish get better? And one parent really nailed the anxiety we all feel, asking, how do I explain this to my kids when I don't even get it myself? That image, man, it really hit a nerve. So this is what's now being called the Bionic Fish metaphor. Let's really unpack it. What in the world does that glowing line down the middle actually mean? Okay, that glowing line, that represents the exact moment we go online. The second you unlock your phone, pop open your laptop, or fire up a video game, that's you crossing the line. You're diving into what the author calls the digital deep. It's not meant to be good or bad, it's just the boundary, the threshold. So you've got these two very different sides to the fish. On the left, you see the skeleton. That's called digital fragmentation. It's what can happen when we just stay underwater in that digital world for way too long. And then on the right, you've got the vibrant, colorful side. That's real-world wholeness. And that's where the real growth and connection happen. So what's the actual price we pay for spending too much time on that skeletal side? We're not just talking about wasting a few hours here. It's about a kind of real-world decay. Our physical muscles get weaker. Our social skills, well, they get rusty. That creative spark we have starts to dim. Even our ability to handle our emotions can start to wear down. Okay, but enough of this scary stuff. Let's flip over and talk about the vibrant side of reality. Because this is where the really cool stuff happens. This is where our fins, so to speak, can become bionic. And by bionic, we mean they get stronger, more capable, and enhanced by real life, not replaced by technology. Think about it. In the real world, you don't just consume things, you build things. You practice guitar until your fingers just know the chords. You actually learn something through firsthand experience, not just Googling it. You build real trust with people by just being there, fully present. And you build character by facing down a real challenge and coming out the other side. And this, right here, is the absolute key. This isn't about choosing one side or the other. Nobody's saying we should all throw our phones in a lake. The whole point is to learn how to cross that line wisely. It's about using the digital world as a tool, a powerful one, but not letting it eat up our real lives. And the power of this idea is, well, it's pretty staggering. At that same festival, a 12-year-old boy was just staring at the book cover for the longest time, and then he quietly said to his mom, "I think I'm mostly on the skeleton side right now." I mean, what a heartbreaking thing to hear. But it just goes to show you how deeply kids are already feeling this. So that boy's honesty kind of leads us to our next step. What do we do with this? Well, you can actually use this whole metaphor to take a quick snapshot of your own life or your family's life with a really simple exercise. Let's call it a family reality check. Okay, here's how you do it. Super simple. Just grab a piece of paper and draw a line right down the middle. On the left side, you're going to list everything you did today that involved a screen. On the right side, you list all the real-world stuff, playing a sport, doing chores, having a face-to-face conversation. And the key is to do this together as a family. And after you've got your day all mapped out, you just look at it and ask a few questions. First, which side has more stuff on it? That's just the raw data. But then comes the important part. Which side felt more satisfying? Where did you feel a real connection or a sense of joy? And remember, this is not about making anyone feel guilty. It's just about seeing where you are. It's about awareness. So, once you have that awareness, once you see the map of your day, what's next? Well, this is where the bionic fish metaphor goes from being a warning to being a roadmap. It's about how we go from feeling fragmented to feeling fortified, or, bionic. So what do we need to start walking that path? Well, it starts with a framework, like this bionic fish idea, just to understand what's going on. Then you need a common language so you can actually talk about it with your kids. You need a real plan to get back some of that real-world time, and maybe most importantly, you need to know you're not the only one doing this. And here's the final thought I want to leave you with, and it's a hopeful one. That line between the real world and the digital world, it isn't a prison wall that keeps us trapped. It's more like a doorway. It's a passage, and it's one we can all learn to cross with a little more wisdom, a little more wonder, and a whole lot of grace. And that brings us all the way back to the beginning, to that same 7-year-old girl. After she finally understood the metaphor, she looked up and asked a totally new question, a much more hopeful one. She asked, "Can I become bionic too?" And the answer to that is absolutely yes, 1,000 times yes. That's what this whole idea is about. It's not just about pointing out a problem. It's a guide to becoming stronger, more whole, and more connected in this crazy digital age. It's about learning how to swim back to that vibrant side of life.